Lovely.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
So Mick, what are we calling today?
Well, we had this idea. We often talk about transparent drives.
Yes.
And it seems like the holy grail for a lot of people is they want an overdrive pedal that doesn't colour the sound too much, right?
Right.
Which I've never quite understood.
It's a strange concept.
It's a strange concept. Then we started talking about what pedals we'd put on the board, you know, what are the cornerstones of that whole world. And then we ended up and we decided to call the show Unobtania. Because as you can see, we have, starting from the left, Analogman Prince of Tone, actually not that hard to get hold of. Analogman King of Tone, extremely hard to get hold of. Yep. And as a subsection of this video, we'll just compare the two because a lot of people are interested in that. Timmy. Made by Paul Cochran.
Yes.
Much sought after and much loved. Again, quite hard to get hold of. Klon Centaur.
Klon Centaur!
No. Sorry, that was a reference to a video that Dan and I made about this time last year.
Yeah, our first video.
And just for good measure, why not a common or garden Keeley-modded blues driver?
Just for reference.
Yeah. And some guitars you might recognise. Gibson Les Paul, Fender Strat.
Yep.
And a JTM45 Marshall. It is a JTM45, it's just in a different box. And a 2-Rock Studio Pro 35, which is kind of doing the Fender job. So we've got...
Doing it beautifully,
yeah,
might I add.
it's doing it quite nicely. So, how transparent do you want your drive, Dan?
Okay. It's a strange one, isn't it? Because I understand the concept, right? It's about not losing any guitar frequencies. But when you have an overdrive pedal, if you have all of the same frequencies of the guitar and they're all pushed evenly into compression, what generally happens is it becomes a bit mushy, primarily because of the bottom frequencies, yeah? Which is why a lot of overdrive pedals that we gravitate towards have got a mid push in them. It also depends on whether the EQ is before the gain or post gain. For example, the whole Dumble thing is having the EQ before the gain. You get a mid hump, which is pre-gain, then those frequencies go into compression before anything else. It adds a different level of sensitivity. So the idea of a transparent drive where everything is just simply equally pushed into compression is kind of it doesn't really sit with me because what you want, those bottom end frequencies, if everything's equal, those bottom end frequencies are going to compress early on. So if you want everything compressing at the same time, then there is going to be, naturally, you want a little bit of reduced bottom end, you know, some lower mids in there.
Yeah, because what we're not talking about a volume boost. If you want a volume boost,
buy a booster.
But or turn the amp up.
Yes.
Or turn the amp down and then turn it up for when you want to play a solo. What we're talking about, I think it falls into two broad categories. If you think about guys who really like the sound of their guitar and amp, Strat players are killer for this because they like the stratiness.
Yes.
So the minute you step on something that's got a mid hump like a Tube Screamer, all of a sudden it stops being a Strat and it starts being this other thing, which is great, but maybe they don't want that. They just want the Stratty thing lifted a bit.
Sure.
So I think that's one application.
Yep.
The other application, and I've had, funnily enough, I've had 2 emails off completely different people this week asking exactly the same question. One is, and the question is, I've got an orange amplifier. Every overdrive pedal I've tried changes the sound a bit too much. All I want is just a little more.
Right.
So what's the best transparent overdrive pedal I can get? And I'm saying a boost is probably the best thing, or even a treble booster would be a good thing for that thing.
If the amplifier is compressing.
Yeah, because that's what you're losing. So anyway, we're not here to discuss that. We're here to look at the cornerstones
of unobtainium.
Of unobtainium. These are the pedals that everyone talks about, right?
Yes.
So why don't we just compare them, see which, as a point of interest, see which sound transparent and which sound less transparent, for want of a better word. And,
so what we're aiming for here is you want to hear all of the guitar, right? All the frequencies of the guitar and the attack of the guitar, all right? So let's start with the JTM45 and the Strat. All right, so JTM45 and Strat sounds like this.
I'll start on the neck pickup and maybe go to the bridge, depending on what happens.
Whatever works for you. You express yourself.
Wait.
Hey! Right, great.
Yeah.
Now, let's try the blues driver as a reference point.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So immediately...
Lost a lot of top.
I lost a lot of top, so I'm going to dial a little bit more top end in there.
Yeah.
Let's try that. Okay, so back to the original. And you can hear it's already more mid-heavy.
Yep.
But I'll make it a little bit brighter. You can see why guys like them.
Yeah, because if you're, just stick me back on the clean sound a minute, if you're like, you know, she's singing.
Of course she is.
I mean, actually, that's putting on more bottom end than I would want.
Yeah, well there's a little bottom end switch here.
Yeah.
It's the Keeley-modded one.
Right.
I can tighten that bottom end up a bit. Right, normal one.
So if you boost, if you give me a bit more level there, then. Yeah, it's not fundamentally changing the core tone. Maybe taking off a bit of high end, but not a huge amount. So.
But you can hear, you can feel it's compressing a little bit more as well.
That's the thing I felt most actually, is that on the front of the note, just straight into the amp, you get that kind of. But with the blues driver.
And that's not an EQ thing.
No.
That's a
just compression.
So if I turn the top end up, make it quite bright. Right, back to the original.
Definitely taking some of the front of the note off, but it's putting extra in for, you know.
Yeah,
it's why it works as a solo
exactly.
boost.
It's the compression thing.
And actually, if you're playing quite loud and you're doing all this, you know, stratty, you know, what you probably want some of that glassiness taken off the front of the note. So, lest we spend too long on the blues driver.
But that's as a reference. You can see just a really nice standard. You know, it affects your transient response. A little compressors, and there is a slight mid boost there.
Yeah.
But that you can hear all the guitar, you can hear all the frequencies.
Yeah, I mean, quite a radical difference with the Les Paul, I should imagine. So, do exactly the same thing, play it straight into the Marshall. It will probably push the Marshall a little bit harder. Yeah.
So
completely different.
Just crazy different.
Yeah.
Now, so as we talked about, the Strat, even at the level of the Strat, it's compressing instantly at that front end. What happens when it receives a
real guitar,
a proper guitar, is that it compresses even more, and it breaks up. You know, so if I just bridge pick up into the Marshall. And this is with the gain turned off on the blues driver. See? I'll put a bit more bottom end back in with that.
And a bit of gain.
Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't use that.
No, so.
Not a nice sound. But with the Strat, with the EQ shape of the Strat and everything, it works beautifully. Yeah. Okay. Right, so.
Where do we go next then?
Well, I think we're going to go to the Klon.
Okay.
Klon Centaur. So we're going to go to the Klon.
and for Klon, Reed, J Rocket Archer, any of the clones.
Yeah, all that stuff.
There's a lot out there that do a remarkably good
Loads.
job of that. So while we are talking about Unobtanium, there's plenty of other pedals that sound exactly like it.
Exactly.
So, well, almost exactly like it.
Yeah. This is a very, very nice sounding Klon. Now, what I like about this particularly is that it's so quick on the transient response. So for example, if we start on the blues driver, into the Klon. Even though, now I'm going to adjust the treble, brighten up a bit, but even with it a lot darker, you can hear the transient response. It's not compressing the way the blues driver is compressing. So if I just play for us.
Yeah, I mean, I would have it.
Even more?
A little bit more, yeah, I'd probably, that's where all controls should be set, by the way.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Now, compared to the blues driver. So, a lot more mids in the Centaur.
Quite a honky upper mid thing going on.
That's it.
Because a lot of people say, isn't it the best clean boost pedal around? No. It's a pretty good upper mid and treble kicker.
Yeah.
Can I hear it into the 2-rock?
So, 2-rock by itself.
So I can hear immediately under my fingers. That's the sound. That for me, that's what starts happening.
Sure.
And the amp reacts completely different to the Klon.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, going back to the amp discussions that we've had, because of the EQ shape of the 2-rock, doesn't have, so just to hear the 2-rock by itself. Marshall. So you hear the lower mids in the Marshall, right? When you put the Klon with the lower mids in the Marshall, it's thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with the 2-rock, where those lower mids aren't there, it just pushes everything,
Getting a tiny bit of Oda Stevie Ray coming in there with the kind of,
that's that pedal, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of people say all it is a modified tube screamer, which, whatever, it's not.
It's not. It's in the same frequency range.
You can see why that's happening.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind just hearing the Les Paul with the Klon.
Yeah, please. So Les Pauls can sound mid-pushed anyway by the nature of the instrument. Yeah, the Strat can sound scooped and the Les Paul can sound mid-pushed. So into the Marshall, the Klon, it's lovely.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
It sounds really
That sounds
great.
nice.
That's quite inspiring to play, right? Now, into the 2-rock.
It's barking in a completely different way, isn't it? There's like an upper mid range.
And now, because the mid-range of the guitar, working with the mid-range of that, you are going to get that frequency pushed the same way as, because that's scooped, but with a mid-boost pedal, into, we won't call that neutral because there's still, it's got that classic American Fender voiced thing going on. But the mids into the mids of that kind of, it does punch. But the bottom end, that tight bottom end of the Marshall, it works really. That's nice, isn't it?
Hit that. Can you hit that with the blues driver, or are we not set up to do that?
You hear it breaking up, and you know, whereas. Oh, it's so good.
Punch,
and that transient response is so important. That, for me, that is what the Klon has nailed. It's such an important part of the guitar sound. Those first initial milliseconds are so hugely important.
Back to our point, transparent? No.
Not in the slightest.
Not even a little bit.
No.
No.
Okay.
Right.
Timmy!
So,
Timmy!
This will be the first time I've ever heard of Timmy. So, Pete Honoré, hey Pete, Danish Pete, you'll see him on the Andertons YouTube channel and various other places. I was with Pete the other day and he said, do you want to borrow my Timmy? I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I haven't plugged it in, anything. This will be literally the first time I've ever played a Timmy.
Okay, so what the Timmy is very well known for, more than these, is actually being a very transparent overdrive.
Which is why it's here, right?
Which is why it's here. So, why don't we give you this? So let's start with a 2-rock. And Timmy.
Tell you what it sounds like. It sounds like something is loading these pickups pretty heavily.
Right.
Because there's quite a big drop off in. Yes,
but I think it's got that compression thing happening again.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
The treble's almost off, isn't it?
No, the EQ works in the opposite way.
Oh, does it?
Yes. So.
Again, not as transparent as I thought it would be.
Interesting. Keep playing. If we compare that to the blues driver. There's still that mid-range. It still has that difference in the mid-range, doesn't it?
Definitely, definitely. Let's hear some Timmy with Les Paul, I think.
Okay. So just the JTM45.
What does the switch do on the Timmy?
I'm assuming it's different diodes. Yeah, middle. Sounds nice.
Sounds a bit brighter, yeah.
So, 2-rock.
Middle and down position are symmetrical clip,
Yes.
and up is asymmetrical.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Well, if you've got asymmetrical clipping, it's different odd order harmonics and things like that. It makes more of a difference when we crank the gain.
Yeah.
That's when you'll hear it.
Let's do that. I like it in the middle best.
Yes.
Because I think that's in the theme of our, to go with our theme, that's where it sounds the most open to me.
I would agree with your findings. Yeah. But you can hear that all the guitar frequencies are there. You can see why it's classed as a transparent drive.
I would say it's the most transparent of any we've tried
Definitely,
yet.
definitely. But it still has that front end compression. Whereas the Klon, great. But it's great. It's great.
It's the most, no doubt about it.
Yeah, so if you want that, your sound just a little bit grittier, a little bit, you know, a little bit more bottom end there. Groovy, right.
Nice. As it happens, this week, in fact, I was on holiday. I was, you know, on holiday. No, I was actually, anyway, it doesn't matter. So, Prince of Tone comes up on Facebook, guy selling a Prince of Tone, Jeff Forsyth, thanks Jeff. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that, because frankly, I'm a bit bored waiting for a King of Tone. And so I said, right, Daniel, as a little subsection of this video, why don't we put them together and have a little listen side by side. So we're hearing the King of Tone really alongside these other pedals, but also the Prince of Tone in there just for a little comparison.
The thing with the King of Tone, for me, and why I keep coming back to it after all these years, it's a two-stage overdrive pedal, right? Basically, it is two overdrive pedals.
Well, you've got yours wired exactly like that, haven't you?
I've got mine modded, so I can have, I can plug both sides into the G2 and, you know. But my favourite sound is just with both sides on.
Yeah.
Okay, so, right, for example, King of Tone. So this is just the straight overdrive boost side, so into the two-rock. King of Tone. Now that's the sort of boost side, so yeah. If I turn that off, turn on the overdrive, doesn't have the bottom end, it has a lot more gain. Yeah, but it's very fast attack. Again, it's very similar to that King of Tone, the Klon thing.
Yeah.
Very quick. But the way I run them is on together. It's so good. Marshall.
Has a less dramatic effect on the Marshall than it does on the two-rock.
Yep. But now I can turn the gain up, you know, a little bit.
It sounds great into both amps.
It does.
Which is unusual.
It's really rare.
Yeah.
But with the Strat, so with the King of Tone with the Two-Rock. So without the King of Tone. It sounds like the amp. It sounds so natural.
To me, when somebody says transparent drive, that's what that means to me. It's not just exactly the same thing but louder. It's just a little push. Because I don't know if you noticed, but I switched over to the in between position, which is, you know, this Strat sounds good, but it's a pretty weak sounding guitar compared to that and a lot of other guitars. And one of the reasons it sounds good is because it is a weak sounding guitar. I think it's especially weak in the 2 and 4 positions. So that's where you're going to lose everything if you're, you know, when you're just plugged into a Fender type style amp.
Bit of delay on that. Oh man. How nice is that top end?
It's great.
It just stays there. Everything, all the frequencies that you want to hear warm and compressed, but the top end stays.
Yeah.
It's not breaking up a fizzy.
So that's what I want. So having just bought my Prince of Tone
Yes.
on Facebook, can you make it sound like that?
Let's have a go.
Can we do that?
Right, so there's your King of Tone.
So Prince of Tone's got a bit more
Mid-range.
Yeah, not as much bottom end.
No, let's so that's the overdrive position. Let's try the boost. Oh, sorry, there's the overdrive position. King of Tone.
Bit more mid-range.
It's got a bit more mid-range. It is compressing a little bit earlier on. So my King of Tone is the standard low gain, well, just not the high gain version, the standard version, and that's the one I like. Yeah. But the Prince of Tone, so that's in the overdrive position. If we try that in the boost position. Now, if we hear that compared to just the boost side of the King of Tone, so So still a bit more mid-range.
Yeah, it's definitely got more of a mid kick there, which I think I'm not that bothered about because it's a Strat after all and it could probably use it. But yeah, I don't know.
You put those, it's the stacking of the two sides of the King of Tone that gives you that.
What does it sound like in the distortion thing? Just
so let's try the
last
side.
one. Not great.
No, a bit messy. Well, see, now it's the mid-range. When you get into distortion, you get into those...
Probably work better with that, I would imagine. But
let's try.
Something weird going on there.
Yeah, no, it's the mid-range with the mid-range and that amplifier. But if I put that on the overdrive, great.
A bit between that and the Klon a minute.
And the Klon.
Yep.
What do you think?
The Klon's just clear and loud and pick attack and all of those things, isn't it? Yeah.
Whereas the King of Tone, for me, is the one that just keeps all those frequencies, all that you want to hear. The top end is the most amazing thing for me with the King of Tone. How it doesn't. If you listen to the top end of the blues driver, so we go this. Now King of Tone. There's nothing harsh or it's wonderful. I can even make it quite bright.
That's chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's why there's this crazy waiting list for them. I think I really like the Prince of Tone as a standard overdrive pedal. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm a bit crestfallen.
Okay.
There's me expecting it to sound exactly like the King of Tone, and it doesn't, which is fine. So, back on the waiting list.
Okay. All I can say is it's worth the wait.
Yeah.
Put it this way, I have access to the best pedals in the world, as we all do, but I've got, I think...
Yeah. What you're saying is you've tried everything and
so
that's
let me
you
put
like.
let me put it a different way, because that sounded awful. With the King of Tone, I have a vast collection of overdrive pedals and things like the vintage stuff that I've had for 20 years and things that I've never wanted to get rid of, and then things that have gone in fashion, out of fashion. I've got a crazy amount. And I always come back to the King of Tone just for that clarity and the fact that I know no matter what my rig is, I'm going to stick it in and it's going to sound fantastic.
I do think that, given that we've got three very hard to get hold of pedals and two fairly easy to get hold of pedals, the annoying truth is it kind of stacks up, doesn't it? I mean, the Klon, the Timmy and the King of Tone, the thing that they do it exceptionally well.
They really do.
Yeah. Whereas the other two, sound good.
Fine.
But just not as special.
The thing is, we're A-Bing them. This is when you find out. It's only when you sit with them side by side and go, hey. And because we're switching them in G2, we're actually hearing them in their best environment with nothing loading and all that sort of stuff. You're hearing the pedal in isolation. That's when it really, because if you had them just side by side, well then one's receiving the buffer from the other one. So blues driver's buffered, Centaur's buffered. These other three are true bypass. But you know that makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
So
just to make the point that as it happens in G2, each of the pedals is in its own loop, so they're not affecting one another. That's
exactly.
Sorry, just to remake that point.
Yep.
But.
Yeah, the fact that you're hearing them in isolation. So, and when you hear them like that, it's like, oh, you know, the King of Tone has been, and believe me, if something came along that was like knocked it off, then fair enough. It's always, and I had Andy Timmons. He has this great philosophy and he has lots of fantastic companies that supported him for years. But when he's in the studio doing his thing, it's whatever sounds best on the day.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful attitude to have. And for me, I've tried so many things, but I always come back to that King of Tone.
Right then, so that King of Tone sounded great through both amps. You've got a Gibson Les Paul, which sounds pretty good. Let's hear King of Tone through both amps, and let's just dial in a sound where you're going, mummy.
All right.
Let's do that.
All right,
let's turn both amps on.
Okay.
So, Marshall JTM45, Two Rock Studio Pro 35, Gibson Les Paul.
If I can grab the lead.
King of Tone. Oh yes, you need the Doer of Mordor.
I'll just start with both amps on.
Both amps on, then kick in the Analogman, and then some timeline, or are you just gonna?
Yeah, so let's make that happen. So I'll start with just both amps on. This is why it's so great that you've got an overdrive pedal that works with both amplifiers.
That's why I suggested we should do it.
Both amps. A little bit of boost there as well into the King of Tone.
What was boosting?
G2 was boosting into the King of Tone.
Okay, all right, okay.
Just for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. No, it's just so good, but it's so quick that this thing. I do that with the blues driver. It's fine. It's great. It's great, but it's awesome, isn't it? It's just so good. And if I boost a little bit, we're using the G2's pre-gain into it. It stacks so beautifully. It works so well with others. It goes into everything. It's it's a that's what waiting list.
A grown-up's guitar sound.
It is. Yeah.
Yep. Good. Okay. We hope that was useful. We started off talking about
transparent
overdrives. We ended up with a Les Paul into 2 amps with an overdrive sounding awesome. That's how things go.
If you're going to end up anywhere. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Once again, thank you all so much for all your comments. And we've got some amazing things coming up very soon. Yeah, we had, well, to date, we've had over 600 comments on that when we were asking what you want to see. So, awesome, guys. Thank you so much. How was 600 weeks? That's about 12 years. Yeah, wicked. So thank you all so much for your comments. We are going to give away some T-shirts and you know. Yeah. Not entirely sure when, because we have to get them made. Yes, but we'll announce you and let you guys know who's won the T-shirts. It will happen at some time in the future. Very good, brilliant. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next Friday.